Good evening, Whitesburg parents. This is Cody here. I just want to hop on. I know I didn't post last week, but want to give you a few things. As always, we have Wednesday nights going on, 6:15 at South Campus. We're almost in the new building and so excited. Can't wait till October till we can actually use that facility that the Lord's blessed us with. And then also we have life groups going on Sundays. Guys, high school Bible study is this Tuesday. From 5 to 6, going to be continuing on in our series about how to teach the Bible. And if you didn't make first week, that's okay. We'd still love for you to come be a part the second week. And also, dads, please come be a part of it. You don't have to have your dad there if he gets off work late, but I have some things for dads and sons to be able to do together throughout this series this semester. So looking forward to that. And then the other thing is we do have our middle school lock-in coming up in September. Sign up for that if you have not yet. But I wanted to get on here this evening and record a video about anxiety. I'm on my front porch area right now, and so you may hear a car drive by. But I wanted to talk to you about something that's very common and prevalent in today's society, which is anxiety. So much research studies. Everything is pointing that this next generation is one of the most anxious generations in the world, or that we've seen. And I think there's some validity to that. And though we are seeing increased levels of it, that does not mean that anxiety is a new thing. The Bible speaks to anxiety so much, but how do we as parents help our children walk through something that may really be overwhelming to them? That's something that they may struggle with on a daily basis. And I went to a conference this spring in Orlando for me and some of the pastors for some discipleship topics. And one of the workshops that they had that you could elect into was First Aid Fit for Anxiety and helping children through the struggle. And I just have a few quotes and pointers that they gave. It was led by some pastors, some psychologists, and even some biblical counselors. And I think they really framed it in a really wise format to help parents and help pastors walk with children who are struggling with this. So I'm going to share a few of the things that they said. They talked about how anxiety is ultimately when fear leads to inaction and it overwhelms us. Now, fear is a good thing, actually. The Bible actually says that we should fear God over 134 times. But every time the Bible talks about healthy fear, it's always followed by action. So fear God and obey Him. Fear His awesome works and praise Him. So there's this back and forth that when we experience fear, it can be a good thing as long as it responds with pursuing the Lord. But when it's fear that leads to inaction, that's the problem. And so we want to help them show in these moments of overwhelming anxiety and fear, you do not have to be trapped. When you get into that moment where you want to flee or fight, flight or fight, you don't have to pick option C where you stay still. You can move forward, have strength and confidence in the Spirit. And that's really helping frame their mind in what it means to not be controlled by fear, which leads to anxiety. And there's so many physical and psychological reactions to fear and anxiety, but how do we help them essentially say, hey, fear is good, and it can be a good thing. It can actually be a weapon, a tool for you when used properly, but to not allow it to fear or cloud judgment, how to not allow it to lock you up and make you feel like you're trapped, but that there's freedom and control in your life through the power of the Spirit. And so one of the things that they talked about is affirm them in this, that fear is okay. It is okay to be anxious. If a child is anxious about what maybe this group of people is going to think because they have anxiety about being in public settings, say, hey, it's natural to care about what others think about you, because hey, especially if you're a believer, you want to have an impact on people, and if they don't think rightly of you, then it's going to be harder to have that impact. And so that's natural. Like, affirm that in them to make them feel like, hey, you're not crazy for this. Hey, you're fearful, you're anxious about this test. Well, that's a good thing, because you want to work hard, you want to see your efforts and your study produce into fruit. And so you want to affirm them in the right things, but guide them. Don't push them, don't drag them, but guide them into going through all of the muddiness and the cloudiness that anxiety brings to find truth, and taking that truth and applying it to where they act. And they used an example of tornadoes. It's normal to be afraid of something that is so powerful and so large that can rip a house apart. But you can't control the path. That's just a truth. You can't control the path of a tornado. But you can also see other truth that could lead to healthy responses. Well, there's other truths like, hey, even a big tornado like an F3 or F4, it's only so wide. And Alabama is a state with several hundred miles wide and several hundred miles tall. And so, there's a small chance it's actually going to hit our house. But hey, even if we are in the path, here's some things that we can do to respond. We can watch the radar. We can watch James Spann or whoever your local weather person is that you prefer. And if we see that we're in the polygon, hey, then we can act again. We can go to the center room of that house, and we can put a pillow over our head, make sure there's no windows in the room that we're in. So you're teaching, you're not even really teaching, you're just helping them frame how to think, where yes, it is okay to be fearful, but let's just figure out what we can control, what we can't, what is truth we can hold to, what is something that's a potential but not necessarily in this moment reality, and then make actions based off of that. And they said when someone's going through an anxiety attack, a few things you can do is, one, get them up and moving. And this is something I think I have encountered people having panic attacks or anxiety attacks, and my first response was, hey, just sit down and take a breath. They said that that's one of the worst things you can do. They said getting them up and saying, hey, let's just go for a walk. You don't have to address what's going on in that moment. You just have to show them, hey, you're not trapped in this moment. You have some control. And don't like step in front of them. Like, just get them up and say, let's go for a walk, and just go walk around the house or walk outside for a minute, and get them moving to show, hey, you're not trapped. And there's a psychological response to physical movement, and that's a really healthy thing. And then start talking to them, but don't go straight into, hey, what's the problem? Because the first thing they're going to respond is with what they're fearful of, why they are feeling this in this moment. It's better to ask questions like, hey, what led to this? What's been going on in the last hour? Is this something that you've been fearful for a while now? Or is this something that's kind of new, that's just come up with recent events? And getting them talking about not what they're feeling in that moment, but what led to this feeling. And then that's where you can find a lot of that truth, where you can filter and help them make decisions. And so another thing that they suggested is going through a passage with them, like have a passage on deck, like Matthew 14, where Peter walks on water with Jesus, and then have them read that and then ask them questions like, hey, what do you think Peter was feeling when he took his eyes off of Jesus for a second? He looked and he saw the winds whipping and the waves being so tall and the rain going. What do you think he felt? Like, what emotions did he feel? And they're going to start identifying some of those and realize, hey, a lot of what Peter was feeling is what maybe I'm feeling in this moment. I'm fearful of what this could happen, like what this could do to me. This could harm me. I could drown. I'm fearful of maybe even what the disciples in the boat are thinking, like, what if this don't work out? How are they going to think of me after this? And they're starting to see, hey, there's a one, they're not alone in these feelings, but two, they're rational, but they don't have to guide us. But then you can point like, hey, well, when was the point when he started sinking? Well, it's when he took his eyes off of Jesus. So in this moment, do you feel like your eyes are fully on Jesus, or do you feel like they're on the waves? And they'll say, if they're honest, well, my eyes are on the waves. And so teaching them, say, hey, when you look at Jesus, there's freedom and there's confidence and there's boldness that we have when our focus is fully on him and when we can receive help from him. And if anything in this, if you can't do anything else, teach them to pray when they're in these moments, to not try to think about what is making it, but just say, hey, let's pause for a second, just pray. Let's just think about this later. Right now, let's just ask Jesus for some help. And because once again, the point of parenting is to prepare them for a day that you're not there. And so teaching them to pray just as a immediate just go-to is so important. One thing they also suggested, especially with younger kids, but I'll tell you this, for me, I would say this is true because I've had anxious moments in my life, and but they talked about the power of singing and music as well. And they talked about finding a song that's almost like a grounding tool for them, a form of worship that allows them to slow down the stimulation that they're feeling inside, even if it's just humming while they don't have to even sing it, just humming it. There is a lot of studies that show that singing worship songs reduces stress and fear so much compared to even singing secular songs. So just find like a song that's like their song and just saying, hey, let's just listen to a song for a second, and be that's their go-to. And so I remember I used to hate walking out of the woods at night. Me and my dad, I still go deer hunting, but me and my dad would go hunting, and he would say, okay, meet me at the truck. Well, this is back before I had a cell phone. I used to not like walking through the woods at night, and if you do, that's just weird. That's just weird. But I used to hate walking through the woods at night, but I would hum the song "In Christ Alone," and for whatever reason, it made me feel better. And when they said that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And so singing and music has a way of helping them, but get them asking the right questions. What is the right evidence for this thought? Is this a valid fear? What is the evidence against this thought? Is this based off facts or just the potential of something bad happening? Well, I can't control potentials. What's the likelihood of something like this? Like if you're fearful about what could happen, what's the likelihood of it? And am I basing all this off of the evidence I have around me or just what's inside? And really, you just want to make this moment not a catastrophe, because that's what anxiety often does. Is it kind of narrows your vision and makes it seem like this is the most awful thing in this moment, and to them that's real. But we have to kind of open the view or help them open the view and say, hey, this isn't a catastrophe in life right now. And the last thing, and that's really talking a lot about how to handle the moments where they are overwhelmed, but they talked about helping them through the concept beforehand, before the event happens. You want to work with them, and they said things that, I mean, a lot of us already know, just exposing them to hard things. I don't think we always mean like spiders, or the spider example, like, oh, if you're scared of a spider, go grab a spider and hold it. There's a balance that even I as a dad feel of, we want to expose our kids to hard things while keeping them fully safe. And we also, if we went through hardship as children, we don't want our kids to go through that same hardship. And there's a goodness, but we have to remind ourselves that sometimes the hardness is what made us who we are today. And your child is going to go through hard things at some point. So why don't we allow them to go through it while we have the ability to protect them now, and expose them in a safe way to dangerous things. And so expose them to difficult things. and get them to do hard things, even if it's chores. Like if it's, hey, that's a task that, maybe most teenagers aren't doing, let them go out and do it. Like it's like, hey, we're going to, got a pile of wood out behind the house. I want you to take all those pieces of wood and go put them behind the shed on the other side. Well, it's going to be a couple hours, it's going to be hard, but getting them to do hard things is what helps build confidence and mental strength. And reward bravery and courage often. Don't reward success, reward the courage to step up and do something hard. And when you see them step outside of their comfort zone, man, give them a an emotional fist bump. Like just pump that up. Like that was awesome. I'm so proud of you. And yes, to a degree, expose them to their fears. If it is your kid is fearful and anxious about public settings, get them in public settings. Now that doesn't mean you have to go make them do a public TED talk in front of 200 people, but if it's just one challenge, hey, you're going to go to worship tonight, and I want you to talk to one person you don't know, and I want you to tell me about it. Like if it's just one thing, tell them to go and do that and challenge them and hold them accountable to that. And those are things that's going to help build them up, that when they start experiencing hardships, they're not going to be overwhelmed because they're just used to it. That's why, hey, football teams that like blow out teams constantly and never get into a fourth quarter battle, like they have a easy schedule, and then they get into like their conference championship or their playoff games, and they finally face a really good team and they go to fourth quarter, it almost never works out for them because they don't know how to win under adversity. Even if they're very talented, they don't know how to do it. And that's where like some of the teams that, man, they go to the wire every single game, oftentimes they're a dangerous team in the playoffs because they have been exposed to it and they know, hey, I don't have to break down if I have 1 minute to score a touchdown. I've done it several times. I can get through this. And so we want to help our kids be like that in a safe way. But I am praying for y'all. There's so much more in this to unpack, and I'm not an expert on these things. These are just some things I wanted to share with you, but we are praying for you. If you have any needs, please contact me. And we are going through right now Identity in Christ, which is addressing some of these things that I'm talking about here. Of part of our anxiousness in life is a lack of assurance in who we are as believers, and the strength and the courage that we're given through the Spirit as believers. And so encourage your kid to be there on Wednesday nights. That being said, we love y'all, praying for y'all. Please let me know if you need anything.